Duping in Minecraft. Exploiting a bug in the game, allowing you to replicate or copy items. In a game such as Minecraft, dupe glitches or bugs are some of the most game-breaking, allowing players to gain access to enormous amounts of resources that shouldn't be able to be obtained. Because of the nature of bugs and exploits, dupes have been around for almost as long as the game has existed. New dupes for old Minecraft versions are discovered often, and because every new Minecraft version introduces so many new features, there is always going to be new dupes, no matter what. In fact, it's likely that there will be duplication glitches for as long as Minecraft exists. That being said, with the incredibly extensive list of duplication glitches, there are only a handful that stand out due to their sheer power, ease of use, or simply their notoriety. Having the potential to bring servers to their knees, or being so strong that players attempt to hide them from the public to prevent them from being found by those who can patch them. Today, we're going to be talking about the history of Minecraft duping, covering some of the most unique and powerful dupes throughout the game's lifespan. So, let's get into it. Oh, and before we begin, unfortunately I cannot dupe my sub count, so be sure to click that sub button if you haven't already. As I mentioned earlier in the video, new dupe glitches for older versions of the game are still being found today, but I first want to focus on dupe glitches that were instead discovered long ago, rather than just discovered recently on older versions. Therefore, our first notable dupe takes us all the way back to September of 2010, Minecraft Alpha version 1.0.17 version 2. Known as close inventory duplication, by opening a chest and hovering an item over your inventory, then closing your inventory without actually placing the item into it, you were able to dupe. When you closed your inventory, the hovered item would drop onto the ground, but upon reopening it, the item would be right there waiting. However, this dupe had its downsides. Some tools would only be able to break one block before disappearing, same as armor, and sometimes items would just flat out disappear. Although inconsistent, this dupe worked on multiplayer, making it very strong, especially for the time, but was patched or fixed not long after. Another unique dupe working in Alpha 1.1.2 utilized Minecraft's skybox to crash the game. By going up to Y level 127, placing the blocks you want to duplicate, saving, mining the blocks again, then crashing the game by placing a sign at Y level 128, you could effectively prevent the game from saving the chunk data and therefore the blocks placed, thus duping them. Oh, and just to clarify, the build limit was only 128 blocks back in Minecraft Alpha. Anyways, most of the early Alpha and even InfDev exploits were single player only, and they were super easy to do because player data was saved when intentionally crashing or closing the game, but world data was not. This meant that by dropping items onto the ground, saving, picking up the items again, and then crashing the game, the items could be easily duplicated in single player. But I'm not going to talk about those, as like I mentioned, they aren't that interesting, so let's move on. Minecraft Beta, where one of the most famous and oldest dupes resides. Before that one though, one of the earliest known dupes which worked in multiplayer beta 1.0 version 1 to beta 1.0.2 is known as the spam drop duplication method. Now, I could barely find any info on this dupe, but thankfully, the MC Discontinued Wiki group was able to create a video for me so I can show it off to all of you, so be sure to go join their Discord and check out the wiki. Anyways, by holding an item with a stack count that is only 1, looking down, spamming the drop key or Q, you can sometimes pick up the original item and a 0 stack or negative version of it, which are items with a count lower than 1. These 0 stacks act as a 256 item stack and thus can be duplicated. The Nether Portal crafting bench dupe originated in beta 1.6 and involved the use of nether portals and a crafting bench if it wasn't obvious. Basically how it works is by having a setup like this, you can place the item you want to dupe in a crafting bench and then let a water stream push you into a nether portal. Upon making contact with the nether portal, the crafting inventory will be forcibly closed and you will drop the item, but will also create a 0 stack item. This item, as you can see, can be picked up and duplicated. Now this dupe does have its limitations. It works well with blocks that can be uncrafted, such as diamond blocks, because they can be easily converted back into diamonds, but with normal blocks, they tend to disappear when you try to use them. What's interesting about this dupe is that it existed for quite some time, and you can see players doing it even in full releases of the game. Alright, so the most well-known and recognized beta dupe is the piston dupe. Kearshar, who originally discovered this glitch, found that by creating a fast redstone clock connected to 2 pistons, one of which is sticky and the other normal just like this, you could effectively create a conveyor belt-like duping machine. Once activated, both pistons would fire off at slightly different times, and by placing a block like so, you could dupe it. There you go, you now have access to all the resources you could ever desire. Even better, it worked in multiplayer as well. This dupe worked in Minecraft Beta 1.7.1 version 1 and Beta 1.7.2, but was soon patched in Beta 1.7.3. What's funny is that this dupe also technically works in Beta 1.7, but it would only duplicate one block before the piston would break. As it stands right now, this dupe is probably the most well known from Beta and Alpha, with the original video having over 600,000 views. As Minecraft continued to update, we would enter full release, and with all the new features in the game, as well as its increased popularity, more and more game-breaking dupes were discovered. So let's talk about some of the most notable, in rough chronological order. Special thanks to the Duper Trooper, who helped me with many of the following methods and provided many tutorials for them. Be sure to check his channel out. First up, we have the Enderpearl dupe, a dupe that worked in multiplayer during Minecraft's first full release, 1.0.0. Here's how it worked. As you all know, Enderpearls do a few hearts of damage when you use them. On 1.0.0 multiplayer servers, if you got yourself to a low enough health where an Enderpearl would kill you, you could do this unique trick. First, as I mentioned, get yourself to really low health, and then throw an Enderpearl in the air and disconnect from the server. Upon relogging, you will find that your items have been duplicated and are on the ground. This dupe is super strong, and I'm surprised it isn't as well known, because it's very easy and quick to do, and can duplicate any items in your inventory in a matter of seconds. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm assuming this dupe worked because the server treats you as dead, but disconnecting seems to prevent you from dying somehow. If anybody knows specifically what's going on here, be sure to leave a comment. Now, I don't know exactly when this dupe was patched, but some commenters in old videos said that it worked in newer versions, but not as consistently, and I haven't tested all the versions myself, but it's likely it didn't stick around for long. Throughout 2012, hack clients became increasingly popular, and with them came a few new methods of duplication. One such early 1.2.5 dupe utilized the old hack client Nodus and its module called FreeCam. For those unaware, FreeCam is a module of basically all hack clients which allows you to freely move your camera within chunks loaded by your player. Anyways, by placing items in a chest, going into FreeCam, and breaking the chest as well as opening it at the same time, you could create another one of these zero value items and thus dupe them. The reason I mentioned this dupe in particular was because it was one of the first dupes used on 2b2t that created many illegal items which are still in circulation today. Alright, let's skip ahead to version 1.8 now, as while there were multiple dupes throughout the versions leading up to 1.8, many of them were not that interesting or would just involve crashing the game in single player. So let's talk about some of the more unique and interesting multiplayer ones that took a bit of practice to pull off. The 1.8 arrow dispenser method was probably the most infuriating and annoying method I attempted in this entire video. Basically, by using the setup created by Duper Trooper, you spam click an item in and out of a minecart chest as it's being destroyed by arrows in a dispenser. If successful, and that's a big if because most times it wouldn't work or my item would flat out disappear, then you create another one of those zero value items. Upon placing the zero value item in another dispenser and being careful not to hold it in your hotbar so it doesn't disappear and waste 20 minutes of your time, you can make it rain and infinitely dispense the item, thus duping it. Very cool, and according to Duper Trooper, this dupe works all the way up to 1.8.9, which a lot of servers still run, although it's likely many of them have patched it by now, but hey, you never know. The donkey dupe is one which became very popular over the past 2 years, likely due to the many server crashing or ruining pay-to-win server videos which gained much popularity. However, what's most unknown about this dupe is that it had multiple variations and has actually been around for quite some time. One of the earlier versions dates back to early 2017, Minecraft version 1.11.2. You were able to send the donkey on half a heart through a nether portal with shulker boxes in it, and then kill it with cactuses on the other side. This would send back duplicated items. There was also an identical method used with the llama. These methods wreaked havoc on servers such as 2b2t, and were some of the most strong methods of duplication, before they were patched. One of the other newer donkey methods used in Minecraft version 1.15.2 involves 2 players. First, you get a donkey and then fill its inventory with the items you want to dupe. Then you get another person to mount the donkey while you're in the donkey's inventory and tell that player to disconnect. Then, take the items out as you can see and tell the other player to log back in. When they log back in, they should reappear on the donkey, and upon opening the donkey's inventory, voila, the items are duped. This dupe has been around for quite some time, but was patched in 1.16. Arguably one of the strongest dupes in history, and most famous for its use on 2b2t, the chunk dupe is very unique, working in 1.12.2 to 1.14.4. Requiring the use of a hack client to perform, here's how it worked. You would effectively overload a chunk by creating books with characters of an immense file size, thus preventing it from saving. So, you fill the chest methodically with these written books and then place the items you want to dupe in a chest within that chunk, saving the chunk properly and then moving all your items out of the chunk and then placing the remaining books methodically once more will now overload the chunk, preventing it from saving. Next time you unload and reload the chunk, the items will have duplicated. This dupe worked from 1.12.2 to 1.14.4 as I mentioned, before being patched in 1.15. But servers and server software had to patch it themselves, as it was incredibly strong, allowing you to dupe dozens of shulker boxes full of items with ease. Remember how I said earlier in the video that there will always be dupes in Minecraft until the game ends because of all the new features presenting new opportunities to dupe? Well, here's a perfect example. In Minecraft 1.16, piglins were added to the game, a new mob which can trade and interact with items. Well, there is also a baby variant which can pick up any item you throw its way. By getting the baby piglin to half a heart through, for example, poisoning it, then giving it the item you want to dupe, like a shulker box, throwing it a gold ingot, and then killing it just as it picks the gold up, you can dupe your items. This glitch was patched in 1.16.3, but when it was discovered, it worked in multiplayer at the time as well. As we continue into 2020, newer server software known as Paper was becoming more and more popular, designed to optimize how Minecraft ran and fixing many performance issues. As such, dupes had to evolve in order to continue to remain relevant in multiplayer. One such dupe which worked from Minecraft 1.13 to 1.16.4 utilized a game modification for the Fabric Loader, which I was sure was going to contain a rat considering its very mature name. Anyways, it allowed players to strategically crash their game and thus duplicate their items. By first saving your inventory through disconnecting from the server, and then relogging and placing the items you want to dupe in a chest, then getting yourself kicked from the server by typing .d and holding a written book, you will successfully have duplicated your items. This dupe has since been patched on servers, but still works in vanilla. Alright, let's talk about some new 1.17 dupes now. First and foremost, the Anvil dupe. This one is quite simple. By filling your inventory with random blocks and placing the desired item in a damaged anvil and then renaming it until the anvil breaks, the items will not return to your inventory because it's full and instead will drop duplicated. Pretty cool. Finally, for today, we're going to be talking about what's been proclaimed as the most powerful dupe in Minecraft history, which fittingly is the last on our list, working in 1.17. Utilizing another Fabric mod, which literally adds a dupe button to the game, you can get 4 of any item, place it in your inventory crafting area like this, and voila. Now, I didn't understand why this dupe worked. I'm assuming it just exploits something in the game's code, but nevertheless, with this dupe you can literally get blocks up to the millions in seconds on multiplayer servers. It has since been patched in 1.17.1, but will go down as one of the best, and in my opinion, most funny dupes in Minecraft history. But anyways, that about wraps up this video for today. Once again, massive shout out to the Duper Trooper, who told me about many of the newer dupes. He has great tutorials on his channel and I highly recommend you check him out. Be sure to comment and subscribe to me as well while you're here, and come join the Discord or follow me on Twitter. Thank you all so much for watching.